Hello everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome to our new edition of the Utopia of Nerd News, which is our Utopian comic book corner. Now, for this first comic book corner, we have the comic book Guardians of the Galaxy Quest for the Shield. And this is what it looks like. This is the reprint of the originals. It has comics 1 through 6 of the first ever of the Guardians of the Galaxy, their own issues. They were introduced in other issues, but this is their first series by themselves. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background of the characters, it is Martinex in this comic book series. He is their resident scientist and also their reluctant leader. And then we have Yondu, who is more of a spiritual being, and he is their weapons master. We also have Nikki, who is their technical weapons, and she's also their navigator. And we also have Charlie 27, who is their strong brute, the tank guy. He is their pilot, as well as their combat strategist. Also on this team we have Starhawk and Aletta, who are one. Starhawk is the one who knows. Aletta turns light solid. And of course we can't forget Vance Astro, who uses psychokinesis, and he can use like his head and like shoots a beam at people and it hurts. So those are the Guardians that we start off with in this comic book series. Now, like I said, this is the first of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, going into the story of what this is about, it's the quest for the shield. Now, the shield, if you know the Avengers, or if you know Captain America, you know he has a shield. Well, this is their quest to find Captain America's shield. And on their way to finding the shield of Captain America, they meet some interesting people. They meet some aliens called the Starks. Now, the Starks, you might be thinking, well, does it have anything to do with Tony Stark? And you might be thinking right, but I'm not going to give that away. You're going to have to read it. No, you're right. It has to do with Tony Stark. Now, what happened is Tony Stark didn't want his technology being used for evil. So he put it in a capsule and he shot it across the universe thinking that nothing and no one would get it. And he was wrong. There was an alien race that they weren't up to speed. They were kind of a primitive race. And so they found this technology and they started to form their civilization around it, and then, you know, became smarter with it and stronger. And because it was from Tony Stark, they were like, oh, this Stark guy, he will be like our god. Where does all this take place? On what planet? It's called Kurg, and it has a species of kind of dog people, but they don't have noses. It's kind of weird. They don't look like dogs, but you can tell they're dog people. So the natives on Kurg, they're called the Kurga. The Guardians of the Galaxy are trying to find the Captain America's shield by finding these clues in the Book of Antag. Now, they land on Kurg and they meet Taserface. Now, Taserface is this big macho guy of the Starks, and he is supposed to be like the toughest of them all. But he gets taken down by the Guardians. Of course, come on. The Guardians. So, because the Guardians take down Taserface, Taserface is like commanders and people he's in this army with, they figure out and they're like, oh no, we can't do that. We gotta go down there, we gotta figure out what's going on, we gotta take down whoever has taken down Taserface. So, they come down, there's this huge battle that ensues between the Guardians and the Starks. So before the Guardians, you know, take care of all the Starks and stuff, Starhawk actually leaves the fight, and Vance Astro gets so mad at him. He's like, come on, where are you going? We have a fight going on and you're just leaving. Starhawk leaves. He goes to get the Fire Lord because the Fire Lord's looking for the Starks. He's trying to keep the galactic peace. And so Fire Lord comes down, takes care of what's going on, and we continue on trying to find Captain America's shield. Now, this is where some other characters come in, and they're called the Force. They're comprised of their leader, which is Interface, and then they have Broadside, we have Brawl, which Brawl and Martinex, they have this like history together and don't like each other. We have Tachyon, we have Photon, which Photon is part of Yondu's race, and their race is pretty much extinct except for those two, and he is crushed when he sees that she is on the bad side. Now, also on the Force, we have 85, which is a mutant. And we also have Scanner, which he happens to look kind of like a lizard. And so these two, the Force and the Guardians, come together to battle each other. And Mainframe, which is the computer that's on the uninhabited world that Captain America's shield is on, decides to team them up, and then they have to fight each other. It ends up that this is just a test. And who gets the Captain America's shield, I'm gonna let you find that out. I can't give you everything, come on. So, who gets Captain America's shield, you'll have to find out. But let's go ahead and talk about the artwork. Now, I loved the artwork in this. I thought it was very illustrative. It showed you if a character moved to a different spot. It showed the progress of the movement. I also liked that in the story they give you history of the characters. They gave you where they first came from. They gave you what issues they started in. It's really nice to know the history about a character, especially when you're getting into comic books, because comic books can be crazy trying to figure out what issue of which comic book a character starts in. And of course, being me, I like to start at the beginning. Of course, you can't really do that in comic books, but you can try your best. So I would say the art style is a great plus. Also, small details. There were a lot of small details. I mean, obviously the information about the characters, where they're from. It just gives a lot of interesting information about the characters. If you read everything like I do, small details also include some funny little intros which have the illustrator, the artist, the writer, and they have like written by and the art done by, and they just do a lot of fun stuff with that. But I love this. I also like that they add those little bit of interesting, informative little tips at the bottom. It'll be like the informative person, and they just give you those little details that just make it all the better. I would definitely recommend this to people who, you know, love Marvel. People who are fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you love space, if you like, you know, learning about different worlds in a comic book world, if you love comics, I would definitely recommend this for you. So go ahead, check out Guardians of the Galaxy. The Quest for the Shield is the first 6 comics, and this comic series is a 62 issue one. I do believe it's 62. And so far it's fantastic. I'm loving learning about new characters, and it's a lot of fun. Especially, I do love Marvel, but you know, that's a whole nother story. Alright, so that is my review for the Guardians of the Galaxy Quest for the Shield. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you've read the comic books before, or if you are going to start reading them, it'd be nice, you know, it'd be nice to hear from you. If you like the video, go ahead and like it, and I will see you next time. See ya!